So welcome to
Yeah,
Bollywood Bubble, Shekhar sir. And how are you doing? How are things
thank you.
going in the lockdown?
Absolutely fine. You're getting used to lockdown.
Okay.
That's human conditioning. You're thrown into any adverse situation, and the body and the mind
Ji.
they get used to it.
Okay. And a lot about you is being written and said in the media since you visited
Gee,
Sushant's place. So do you
yeah.
think that the current politically and the emotionally charged environment, it turned things against the step that you were trying to take?
No, on the other hand, it hasn't turned the tide against it. It has helped, support the movement. How can you say it's turned against? Because I mean, there are more and more people joining in, joining in the movement and pushing it.
Ji.
There are more people coming in demanding a CBI inquiry. You just noticed that Mr. Subramaniam Swamy has just written to the Honorable Prime Minister. Shri Pappu Yadav has written to the Honorable Home Minister. So there's a lot of movement happening. There is Riya Chakrabarti who has just come forward asking for an inquiry. A lot of people who are coming forward and exposing the so-called Bollywood gang, the nexus, the syndicate, the caucus. And I think all of that would add up, though it's a bit unfortunate that the Home Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Anil Deshmukh ji, has turned down the request for a CBI inquiry. But that really doesn't matter because, there's so many people asking for it, and there is so much of an uproar, and there is so much of a noise that eventually I think the government would give in.
Ji.
What made you think that it's turned the tide against it?
No,
What makes you think so?
Because a lot of it has gone against you, and also people are saying that the moment can be politically charged also, or it would be politically motivated. So I meant in that sense.
In which way? No. I tell you why. When I went to Patna,
Ji.
I decided to meet Shri Nitish ji, the CM of Bihar, and Tejaswi Yadav, who is the opposition leader, to gather support, political support, so that we can pressurize the Maharashtra government for a CBI inquiry. And that was a very natural thing to do because Sushant is from Bihar, so the support has to come from Bihar first. That was the whole idea. There were some stupid idiots who read into it, saying that there is a political motivation. Why would I take a detour if I have any political ambition? I will just join politics. Why should I go through it? I mean, basic common sense. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a pandemic going on, and then you visited the place. You visited Sushant's place, taking a huge risk. Personal risk bhi tha ek health ka. So what made you look beyond that physical health risk that you decided to fly down to Patna?
My heart. My heart told me that I just needed to be there. I'm just, this whole movement, I've just been listening to my heart. Whatever it's telling me, I'm just doing that. And I think being a part of the film fraternity, you just cannot isolate yourself as an individual and say, this is not my problem. ये मेरे परिवार के साथ नहीं हुआ, ये मेरे दोस्त के साथ नहीं हुआ, भाई के साथ नहीं हुआ, so I couldn't care less. It doesn't happen like that. I think, on humanitarian side, also that I had emotional connect with Bihar and the film fraternity. I mean, everybody should just come forward. I mean, I'm surprised that I'm the only one, or maybe just sporadically here and there, a few people here and there are talking about everybody, because when you talk about the film industry being a family, that a very important family member is gone, and I wonder what's keeping them quiet. So also the fact that I had lost my elder son, at such a young age. So I can imagine what a father is going through, and that is why I went to Patna. And also because Patna is my hometown, and I thought, and Sushant was from Patna. So there were many reasons sort of coming together for me to have taken that step. And I'm happy I did that, though it was a huge risk. I mean, can you imagine that in 3 or 4 months I haven't stepped out of the house, and here I was going all the way to Patna and flying. But there was no stopping me, in the sense that what I started, that there was no way I was going to take a U-turn. Though in between I felt little disappointed that the family had not come forward and talked anything about a CBI inquiry. But then I realized that it is their prerogative. It is their privilege, to keep quiet. And this moment of grief, it is absolutely wrong on anybody's part to just expect anything from them in the sense of coming forward and saying anything. Let them just, they're still grieving. It's a huge huge. It's a catastrophe. It's a humongous loss, and one must understand that instead of being just thinking why and they're coming forward. I mean, they have reasons and they have personal reasons, and I think that should be respected.
Mhm. Okay. I was also talking to Adhyayan, and he said that he was of the opinion that nepotism here is not the bigger evil, because had it been the prime problem, he wouldn't have lost out on 14 films in a row. Instead, he said that the bigger problem is of groupism or the gangism. How do you look at this statement? And I mean, do you kind of agree with it? Do you disagree with it, or you have more to add on?
I was the one who started it. Mm-hmm. I was the first one who said this is not about nepotism. Mm-hmm. If it was about nepotism, then Sushant wouldn't have made it big in the first place.
Yeah.
So this whole statement is an oxymoron. And the fact is today, if you look at all the actors who are sort of successful, they're all outsiders. And if you look at all the insiders who are supposed to be the nepo kids, more or less, except one or two, all of them are failures, or they haven't reached a level where they should have. So it doesn't hold water of the talk about nepotism. It is the caucus, it is the syndicate, it is the mafia which controls the career graph for people, which controls the existence of actors, which controls the future of actors. That is worrisome. Somebody who makes it on his own becomes a cause of worry for the caucus, because one of them might just feel threatened by his existence, and so he's eliminated, or he's pushed aside, or he's ostracized. So that's a very dangerous trend, and it's been going on for a long time. But it has now taken a sort of, it's now become bigger. Because the stakes in the film industry are bigger.
Yeah.
Now, it's almost like a Hindi film's released in so many theaters and makes so much money. So obviously there would be a bunch of people who would like to control that share of money. And of course, fame. So just a few production houses would get together and decide who's going to be a part of the caucus, and who, if he's defined or she's defined, would be thrown out.
Okay, so I would want to know, how does this nexus, or the mafia as it's being called, how does it work? How does it push us, a promising talent to the edge? Like, do they cut off from the social circles, or how does it work?
Very simple. Very simple. That if you are out on the periphery and if you are blossoming as a star, then the caucus gets very active and tries to draft that or induce that talent into the caucus. If he says yes, then obviously he's reduced to the status of a yes man. Then you have to agree, you're bound by a very evil contract, and you are not allowed to kind of work outside, and the money that you make is actually shared by that producer who's promoting you, or the production houses. So in a way, they constrict you from blossoming the way you want to, or opening up as a talent as you want to, because Sushant was being considered for two of Bhansali's films, but he was stopped. So he lost out on like two huge opportunities, which probably he would have been in Ranveer's place. Not that Ranveer is less talented, but he would have been in Ranveer's place. So, and if you are defiant, then the word goes around not to take him in any of the big productions. So you are marginalized. You are marginalized. So, and then socially and in this industry circle, you're not acknowledged. You're not recognized. No award comes your way. You're not invited for parties, film functions, and in different kind of shows and different kind of functions, they make sure that they pull you down, or they make fun of you, or they just make you feel like a worm. And then you lose your self-respect, you lose your self-esteem, and probably get into depression.
Okay. And जहाँ आप एक तरफ आपने भी इस मूवमेंट को लेकर काफी सारा प्रयास किया है, वहीं दूसरी तरफ कंगना ने भी एक मोर्चा खोल रखा है, to put an effort into this cause. What do you have to say about that? Any opinions that you would like to share?
I think as long as the mission is the same, and everybody is just sort of colluding to be there, the more the merrier, the better. The more people come into this, the more powerful people come into this, the more known, recognized people come into this, the movement becomes that much stronger. So what she has done, she is fearless, and she at least has the guts to go out and talk. So that's a wonderful thing that she has gone and has spoken her mind.
You recently tweeted that you would like to take a back seat from this movement and kind of let it go on its own. So would you elaborate as to why you took that decision?
That decision was for 30 seconds. If you've noticed the tweet that followed after that, that was only for 30 seconds. And that I have just elaborated on that I was feeling a little awkward that the family had not come forward. And in the absence of any family support, I felt, then who are we fighting for? Then I realized that actually Sushant was in a public domain. And this is all about camaraderie and brotherhood and humanity that what we are fighting for. And it really doesn't matter whether the family comes forward or not. And of course, the pressure of his fans who said that you're leading from the front, you shouldn't take a back seat. When I said a back seat, I didn't mean I am backing out. There's a huge difference. I mean, there's a world of a difference. Backing out means I'm leaving this moment. Back seat means I am there, but let other people sort of lead it from the front. But I realized that under the pressure, when the fans are feeling extremely disappointed, it would not be fair to take the back seat, and I decided to just go on as I was.
Okay. And talking about getting acclimatized with the COVID and going on with our work routines, government has issued guidelines that it has issued a cutoff age that actors below the age of above the age of 65, they would not be permitted to work on the set. And a lot of senior actors have उन्होंने अपनी नाराजगी जताई है. What you have to say on this whole issue and the government issuing guidelines? Do you think actors are stuck between a rock and a hard place?
I think it's for their benefit, for those people who are near 65. Hopefully, by the time I reach 65, COVID would have been gone long, would have vanished. But even for these people, it seems a little unfair, but it is for your own health protections. I think that they are more sort of vulnerable and more susceptible to this disease, which has been the trend all over the world. So to keep your health in mind, and people who are 65 and above, I think the government has taken a right decision. And I think it's just a matter of time because, the vaccines are just around the corner. So it's just a matter of time that these vaccines are going to hit the market. Everybody is going to be vaccinated and everybody is going to be fine and protected and safe and secure. So you have to be a little patient and not react. I do understand the frustration of just sitting at home for so long. And now that the studios are opening up and you are asked not to go, I think their frustrations are a bit justified, but you have to understand the larger context of the picture that, what is being done is for your own safety.
Okay. And, the COVID situation has kind of changed the equation when it comes to actors. Earlier, they were the most taken care of people on the set. But now, when the camera rolls, they are the only people who are not wearing masks, or they are not supposed to, if I could say that, So there's a dialogue exchange, there is interaction with the other people inside the frame or inside the scene. Do you think that now actors have become the most vulnerable group in the entire crew?
Yes, obviously. I think metaphorically speaking, you see the masks are finally down. The actors have been hiding behind a mask for a very long time. Now the masks are down and the others are wearing masks. No, but jokes aside, I think that's the new norm now. You have to be just very, very careful. And, the industry has to move forward slowly but surely. I think this is the only way that we can see it surging ahead, because obviously you cannot perform with your masks on, right? So, actors are in a vulnerable state, but I guess they will all get used to this new norm. And the recovery rate has been pretty good, and so nothing to worry about. The pandemics have hit the world scenario even before, and people have survived, humanity has survived, mankind has survived. We have moved on. We have seen all kinds of catastrophes, from tsunami to, economic depression to pandemics to illnesses to what have you. We have human beings are strong, and they can overcome all kinds of challenges. So yeah, I think this too shall pass. We'll have to just wait and watch and just keep smiling.
Okay. And what changes do you see in the post-COVID world, strictly in terms of cinema and the art of filmmaking? Do you think that we will get back to normalcy, or we will have to evolve and adapt as per the conditions?
It can swing either ways. Depending on the situation. If it's prolonged, or if it's it takes a longer time to return to normalcy, then obviously there will be new norms in place and things like that. But I guess that, as I said just now, that no matter what happens, we have a tendency to just go back to the old normal, because that's the way we were most comfortable. And that's the way we would want, not just sanitizing our hands all the time, wearing masks. It's a good thing that, COVID has taught us hygiene and given us, a sense of just being clean all the time and being safe all the time, which is fine. But, overprotectiveness is also irritating. So I hope that, in time to come, people are going to go back to it. I mean, the wars have been fought, and there have been world wars, and there have been atom bombs on people and in countries, and they've all limped back to normalcy, and people have forgotten. It's like a chapter in history. And people, we should come back to hugging each other. What the hell? I'm smiling, shaking hands. Now, people are careful, and they go like that and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. We're not supposed to shake hands." All of that should go. The atmosphere should be absolutely liberated and free, the way we used to be. But what COVID has taught us is the biggest lesson of life is to not take life for granted. True. I think we have to take care of ourselves, people who are close to us, people whom we love, who are dear to us, about humanity, about hygiene, about cleanliness, about all of that. And for a moment, just take a step back and realize that there is also a life, that you cannot forever be running for money and investments and name and fame and awards. There is a life. You have a wife, you have a girlfriend, you have your parents, you have your kids, you have your friends, and you have to sit back and nurture those relationships. That's really very important. And the COVID has taught us also to pursue our passion. Something that we thought and never got the time to do. COVID has given you that time. Now you sit back, relax, and pursue all your hobbies. So I think, should not leave it there. You should take it on. Like, somebody has started playing the piano, somebody started singing, somebody started painting, somebody started cooking, and we become self-dependent, आत्मनिर्भर. हम लोग आत्मनिर्भर हो गए. झाड़ू पोछा कटका ये वो, बाथरूम भी साफ कर रहे हैं, कपड़े भी धो रहे हैं. All of that, it's a good thing. I mean, I did it in a hostel. I'm a public school product, so I've come back to that life, and it doesn't worry me. मैं झाड़ू भी उठा लेता हूँ, साफ भी कर लेता हूँ, मैं गार्डनिंग भी करता हूँ, मैं पोछा भी लगाता हूँ. All of that, it really doesn't matter. And I think that's the dignity of labor, and that feeling is extremely good, that I'm not dependent on my helpers. If they are not there tomorrow, I can still look after the house. I can still look after my family. So that's a wonderful feeling. So every bad thing that happens, there's a lot of good hidden in that, and we have to look at the good side of it.
Okay. And since we spoke about the positives that COVID has taught us, there are also some negative tendencies that this pandemic is bringing out in people. One of them is a sense of desensitization.
Loneliness.
Yeah.
And loneliness. I think just, people who don't have a family with them. Yeah. They are stuck in a house all by themselves.
Yeah.
How many movies can you watch? And how much of anything that you can do. So that loneliness, and also people are being thrown out of jobs. I was just reading that the Air India staff have been sent on pay without leave for 5 years.
Yeah.
How would they survive? How?
True.
Tell me. The daily wage earners, the skilled workers, the unskilled workers, all of them, where would they go? How would they earn their bread and butter? From where? So that COVID has put us in a spot. And that's quite a spot, because, every day I'm hearing that, somebody committed suicide. Somebody is, because of, lack of security or finances, has taken an extreme step. So that's dangerous. So one has to now be very, very patient. Because it's not something within our cognizance. So we have to be very, very patient and understand that what cannot be cured must be endured.
Ji.
If we cannot do anything about the pandemic, then we have to listen
Mhm.
to all the instructions, stay at home, and
Mhm.
things would be back to normal. Not to worry.
Okay. And do you think that this pandemic is also bringing up desensitization in people, because we are very often going too close to people, or uh, very calculated social interactions, and if someone tests positive for COVID, he's almost treated like an outcast. So do you think that's kind of something that's happening due to the pandemic?
Haji, I think amidst man or men or people are we're all social animals.
Mhm.
We cannot possibly survive in an atmosphere of social distancing.
Ji.
Imagine sleeping in the same bed with your wife with masks on and like a 2 feet distance. It cannot happen. Or not hugging
Mhm.
your child, or
Mhm.
not hugging your close ones. That cannot happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we are used to touching each other, especially Indians. We are
Mhm.
used to hugging
Mhm.
and giving that jadoo ki jhappi, and we are boisterous people.
Yeah.
So I think we'll come back to that.
Mhm.
It's annoying, actually, to wear masks and wear gloves and to greet people from far.
Mhm.
Very, very annoying. I hope it just goes fast from
Mhm.
our lives.
Okay. Okay.
It's bugging the tail out of us.
Yeah, it is. It's been a long time. It's been 4 months now.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
yes.
And moving forward, you have given us some of the best political satires with Pol Khol back in 2004, and also some bits with
And
movers and shakers. Yeah, movers and
Movers and
shakers.
Shakers was a political satire.
Yeah, yeah. But in today's times, we don't see a lot of political comedy or satire happening, be it in the mainstream television or in media.
Mm.
What do you think is the prime reason behind that? Is it because people or we as a nation have collectively lost out on our sense of humor, or is it because people are kind of वो आजकल पावर के अगेंस्ट बोलने से कतरा रहे हैं, या कुछ और रीजन है आपके हिसाब से?
Yeah, all of that and much more. I think, things generally around us are like people have become more intolerant, and then there are groups, and the people have divided now, vertically, horizontally, whichever way you look at it.
Mhm.
Also, people have got the power to speak now. Everybody, earlier people even they wanted to just speak against you, they didn't
Yeah.
know the means to do so. Now the social media is like a weapon which is both nice and dangerous at the
Yeah.
same time.
Mhm.
So everybody gets on this platform for the heck of it also, and just voices his opinion for the heck of it, says anything, any nonsense, trolls you for anything that you say. It's just an opinion, and I may be allowed to have my own. So
Yeah.
you can have your own opinion, but you can't abuse me for the opinion that I have.
True.
So now that has started. Also, the political environment is not the way it used to be. Now these guys have become like the people in the ruling party has become very sensitive to all these
Yeah.
humor and satire. So every time you say a guy is picked up for posting something on Facebook or saying something, right now also there's something, I think some stand-up comic got into a problem. I don't know, I'm not familiar with the name,
Mhm.
but somebody got into a problem.
Mhm.
Somebody is booked. Somebody, something is happening. Now and then, which is not a good sign.
Mhm.
And so I guess, the people have also generally become very intolerant.
Mhm.
I think earlier people, when I did More Than Shakers, I could openly take names and talk about people,
Yeah.
and they never minded it. As a matter of fact, when the Prime Minister of India met me, he said, "I laugh the loudest when you take off on me."
Ji.
That was the tolerance, and that was the benevolence,
Mhm.
and that was the kindness of people whom we encountered. So they said, "Go ahead and do it," because it's a very healthy thing to do.
Ji.
I think in democracy, for the balance of power,
Mhm.
it's important that the critics need to be there in
Yeah.
whichever form, either on print media or through political satires or cartoons, or
Mhm.
whichever way.
Mhm.
You have to show them the right path. You have to talk about the ills of the society or the political system, and that's how you correct the system, right?
Mhm.
So it's very unfortunate, but it would happen. I'm planning to start Moves and Shakers again, and we'll just go ahead. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful news.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I think it's time. And I thought that, in these 4 months, people have lost their sense of equanimity. They have lost the peace of mind, and they become very irritable.
Mhm.
I think to just about like bring us a smile on their faces.
Mhm.
I think to just tickle them a little, just get onto the humorous side of life, not to take life so strictly and so seriously. I think a show is required. And when I started Movers and Shakers, people were not even aware of a show like this, of a format like this, and people say, "Oh my God, you're just going and talking about everybody." But they started liking it. Started a huge new trend. It was the first of its kind, and there's still no truly a true blue late night show. There is no chat show, late night chat show, which I used to do with Johnny Carson or Jimmy Kimmel is doing, or Jay Leno. So I guess to go, the clock always comes a full circle. So I think it would be nice to kind of just revisit that and see those smiles back on people's faces.
Okay, and since you spoke about Jimmy Kimmel and also Jimmy Fallon in this regard, late night shows in West, they are gaining quite a lot of momentum, while in India, do you think they are losing out on charm since we don't have that much shows, that many chat shows that talk openly about anything under the sun?
But no, I think you need a very special skill for that. Not anybody who just picks up a mic and calls himself a stand-up comic or whatever they call themselves decide to. They are really pathetic. Most of them, 99%, they're pathetic. They don't know what they're talking about. They feel that if I have the independence to be on social media, I should begin my show by abusing everybody or using abusive words, and it doesn't function like that. Independence doesn't mean that you cast aspersions on everybody, start becoming abusive. Similarly, that you see in web series. Web series would mean that you explore new kind of content which otherwise would have not been a part of commercial cinema. Independence doesn't mean that it's all about just homosexuals, it's all about lesbianisms, it's all about threesomes, it's all about sex, it's all about abuse. It's not. That's why we tend to sort of misuse our independence. That azadi that we talk about, that azadi is misused. Just because there is no censorship in web, there are all kinds of crap stuff that is coming, which is, you can't sit with a family and watch. I can't even watch it myself, because beyond a point, these abuses start hurting your ears, because they're pointless. Absolutely. I mean, there's 100 years of cinema that survived without abuses and without this kind of sexuality, I can imagine here and there a little sporadically, if you're shown a bit of sex, which is an integral part of the script, I can understand. But why have compulsorily sex in everything, a sexual angle in everything, abuse in everything? It's not important. There's a lot of dirt in the society. Doesn't mean you show everything. I mean, yes, people abuse outside. It doesn't mean cinema has to be clean. It has to be nice. It's to be hard hitting. I do understand that. So similarly, I think, these so-called comics and these so-called guys who pick up a mic and they talk rotten. They talk nonsense. Nobody has any academic knowledge, and they just pick up a random stuff, and they use foul language to express themselves. I haven't seen, except barring one or two who are really good at it, the rest are pathetic. They're really bad. So the tradition of chat shows actually did not ever begin. I mean, it started with Movers and Shakers and ended with that. Because there was actually no late night show with based on political satire after that, and maybe because of various reasons. So I think we need to revive that. We need to have many guys, actors, entertainers, performers coming forward and getting into this genre to kind of promote it. I think it's a good format, and but as I said, that you have to be really skilled, and the craft is to know how much to go, how much to push the envelope, and draw a line where it just starts hurting. So that's the skill, and of course you have to be very knowledgeable, politically, socially aware of what you're talking about, not just that, I'm like observed a few things and I'm saying it in the most stupid comical way and you think you're very funny, because these guys, when you look at their faces, they feel they are the greatest thing born on this earth. Oh my God, like I'm such a great comic and I'm like making people laugh. People laugh at anything, they laugh at the most idiotic stuff. But I guess that was zehni hona bahut zaruri. It has to do something with your intellect, because humor I can understand what people are doing stupid comedy on television and on the social platforms. I understand they have to make a living, but I'm sure there are a lot of intelligent people out there, intelligent actors who can get into this, use their intellect, their mind, their knowledge, their wisdom, their experience to create better shows.
Okay. So when we talk about intelligent comedy, do you think that format of comedy or that genre of comedy would work in India? For example, let's say in the West we had George Carlin, who was a very intelligent comedian.
It has. It has. Movers and Shakers was the brightest example. It did work for so many. I did thousands of episodes. People loved it. It's not that, let's not underestimate our audience. There is a huge audience, huge discerning audience that loves that kind of thing. And they would not probably even see this stupid thing that's going on. Don't underestimate the Indians. They are far more intelligent than the American counterparts and everywhere else. So yes, there is a need and there is a space to do intelligent humor. I wouldn't even say comedy. Humor, satire, which is very powerful and meaningful, and yet it makes you smile.
Okay, and talking about Movers and Shakers, it was India's most favorite show back in the day. I mean, to the point that काफी सारे परिवारों को गले से खाना नहीं उतरता था रात का जब तक वो Movers and Shakers देखते थे. One reason of it being is it came up when TV was yet starting up, gaining ground in India, and then you also gave a lot of space to the young talents, if I remember correctly, and if I'm not mistaken, Darshan Doshi started off with Movers and Shakers. So as you said that you would be again coming up with the show. So would you again kind of give way to a new talent, or perhaps bring it out on OTT, something like that?
Yeah. Of course, you have to nurture talents. You have to pick new talents and promote them. I think we have to increasingly move towards a space of entertainment. We tend to kind of constrict this as stand-up comedy, and these are the comedians who are doing it. I don't think those words are redundant. I think for me, I never conformed to the word comedy. I mean, I hated it. I said, why would you call it? I wasn't even a stand-up comic. I was an actor experimenting with a genre, which was stand-up comedy. For me, it was a role that I was doing. So I would probably at best be called an entertainer. And all of us are. I mean, like, look at Akshay Kumar. He became a complete package of entertainment, the comedy side of humorous side of it, and then he exploded in so many films. And wow, like, he made a huge success of it, and he was brilliant. Better than the rest of them. You never thought that Akshay Kumar could do it. So you have to realize your latent potential, your latent talent, and explore it. And also alongside promote younger talents, promote different kind of talents. So yes, this show is going to bring in a whole lot of new writers. There is a huge dearth of good writers who do some smart thinking, who can come out with some smart thoughts and smart lines. So I'm going to sit and probably with my experience train them and be with them, because Movers and Shakers, we trained about 20 writers, and they went on to become like huge in their in their own space. So we're going to induct more writers, more entertainers, more actors, more people into this, and teach them something. That why is that after Movers and Shakers there was no late night show? Because they were all doing stupid comedy, but why wouldn't anybody take like political satire seriously, or even social satire seriously? With like good language, good humor, good thinking. So I think that needs to be taught, and I'm sure there is a huge sea of talent waiting out there to be tapped. They just need
the right direction,
the right person to lead them. The right direction. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So with that, we have reached the end of our conversation. I would like to know, ऐसा कोई सवाल
and definitely and no, I think I think that it's a good time for actors, and a good time for actors like me, because I've explored myself in so many different ways. I try to reinvent myself. Even when I did the late night show, I hosted, I became a judge, I became a singer, I got into bodybuilding, I came into politics, I produced, I directed, I acted on television. I did sitcoms. I did serials. I did films.
Yeah.
I did stage. I'm doing like very active on stage. And two of my plays, where one I play Sahil Ludhianvi, the other I play Sadat Hasan Manto, is doing very well. So I think it's very exciting time for actors and all of us. I even write. I wrote lyrics. All that. It's not the time when an actor just acted in films. Today, Bachchan Saab goes and like hosts a show, and Salman Khan goes and hosts a show, Big Boss, and then he comes onto his own. Or Shah Rukh Khan has done shows. I remember when I was doing like moves and shakers, nobody was ready to touch television, even with a 10-feet barge pole.
Yeah.
But then they realize the potential of this medium, and that you can go out and experiment and do so many things, which I did.
Yeah.
And all of them eventually came here and discovered themselves, which is wonderful, because nobody could imagine that Salman Khan could host a show.
Yeah.
Or Bachchan Saab, I'm sure, was not sure that he could do it so beautifully. So you have to kind of experiment with your talent. And so I am at a space where now I want to do all kinds of roles, especially bizarre roles, especially roles with gray shades, negative roles, and playing a 108-year-old guy, or playing a 20-year-old youth, or playing a little baby, or a psychotic character, or any of that sort. Something that is challenging to me as an actor. I would like to host. I would like to be a judge. I would like to be part of this brilliant cinema that is emerging, part of good web series, all of that. So I'm looking forward to sort of a great innings, and I think after COVID, after all this chaos is over, you see, they say when the storm settles down, what you see is just calmness, and that calmness that all the beautiful things emerge. I think similarly, after all this mental confusion and chaos and pandemonium, that and the torment and all of that, that people have gone through, a new world, new cinema, new entertainment, new set of actors would emerge, and I can promise you, I'm going to be one of them.
Wonderful, wonderful. So with that, we have reached the end of our conversation. I would like to know ऐसा कुछ सवाल जो मुझसे पूछना रह गया हो या जिसका आप जवाब देना चाहते हैं.
देखिए सवालों का कोई अंत नहीं है, और जवाब देने में हम थकेंगे नहीं. तो आप सवाल पूछते जाएंगे, हम जिंदगी भर यहाँ बैठ के जवाब देते जाएंगे. I mean, that's been my job. I mean, I could hold movers and shakers for 6, 8, 10 hours and keep doing an interview. There is no end. As long as the human mind is functioning, you will have questions, because that's how we survived. It's always human beings' existence is based on curiosity, and curiosity would mean questioning, questions and more questions. So we will have many more sessions. And we will have many more of these interviews where hopefully one day we are sitting face to face without this barrier, without it getting into a virtual world where you can actually smell each other, hold each other, smile each other, and give each other a tight hug.
And feel each other's
so
presence
good
also.
Luck to you. Be safe. Be
Thanks
safe. It was wonderful talking to you, and hopefully we'll connect soon.
Sure. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks a lot for calling on Bollywood Bubble. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.